Hello, everyone. This is Richard Kazami, and this is the monthly meeting of the Old Astoria Neighborhood Association. We appreciate you tuning in. This is our first meeting since last June. We took July, August, and then September off. So we're glad to be back amongst everybody. We're having a very busy season. Looks like we're starting up running. I wanted to go over a few of the upcoming events. Obviously tonight, it's a wonderful event on the upcoming election. It's featuring the Campaign Finance Board, discussing early voting, some of the sites, and then also discussing the ballot issues that will appear on your ballot. These are very important. The recent ranked choice voting that started last year resulted from a ballot initiative such as we'll be discussing tonight. So they do have consequences. It's important that before you walk into the booth that you have an understanding of what these various initiatives are. So we'll be starting that in a few minutes. I also want to let everybody know, and Victor, if you could bring some of these up. First of all, we have an event coming up on the 24th. It's going to be a unique event. For you, those of you that know Hallett's Cove and Socrates Park, hosted by Socrates Park and sponsored by Old Astoria Neighborhood Association, we'll be doing a scuba diving cleanup of the seabed in Hallett's Cove, which should be a unique experience. Okay, so this will be October 24th. We'll be starting the cleanup around the beach area around 11. We expect to be going in the water between 12 and 1 o'clock. So we hope that you all can join us. Should be a lot of fun and a very interesting experience. Then also on the 26th, we are co-sponsoring with the Variety Boys and Girls Club and also the New York Power Authority, an event on weatherization, a workshop on the 6 to 8 p.m. at the Variety Boys and Girls Club. That's at 2112 30th Road in Astoria. Attendance is limited to 40 people, so we ask that people call the Boys and Girls Club at 718-728-0946 to register. There will be food provided. You will end up getting a kit of various weatherization equipment. And again, it's important with the coming cold season. Third, on November 9th, we will be sponsoring with the Queens Together, a virtual community town hall with Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. This will be online and it will be 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on November 9th. You can go, we'll be posting this online starting tomorrow, so you'll have the link. I can give it to you verbally right now, or I tell you what, Victor, if you look at that flyer, if you could post the information for that under comments, we'd greatly appreciate it. As a matter of fact, if you could put information on all three of these events under comments, I think that would be best for everybody, and then everything will be posted online. And lastly, this is an ongoing survey that we've been doing. This is in regards to the new proposed bus lanes on 21st Street. DOT did join us last June, I think it was, to discuss this. And we are continuing a survey as this has not been finalized yet. So if you go to the Old Astoria Neighborhood Association website, OANA-NY.org, look for news and then look under news under the drop down. You'll say surveys. If you go to there, you will see the survey that we're asking. We want to get people's opinions on whether, in fact, they do or do not want bus lanes. And if they do want them, what configuration. There were 4 different options. So we do hope that you fill this out. It's great to have a voice. This is how we make sure that that our opinions are heard and are taken in consideration by city agencies. That's one of the main reasons we're here. So again, all this information will be in the chat. And if you have any further questions, you can email me at richard@oana-ny.org and we'll respond if for some reason you can't find something. With that, very soon, I think on the 23rd, the early voting will start for the November general election on November 2nd. So in order to give everyone the best basis to go into the booth. We've invited the Campaign Finance Board to come and discuss again ballot initiatives and early voting. I'd like to invite Omar Suarez out to make his presentation. Omar?
Hey, Richard. How's it going?
Good.
Okay, so I'm going to come and speak about the ballot proposals and some other things with the upcoming election. Hey, everyone listening at home. My name is Omar Suarez. I am with the New York City Campaign Finance Board. We are a city agency, and our principal responsibility is the public matching funds program. So for small donors within the city who donate to a local campaign, you get the 8-to-1 match. We're responsible for that program, but we also do the NYC Votes Voter Engagement Initiative. You may have seen some of the ads in the paper, bus stop, train station, other places. Actually, I'm going to share my screen if I'll be allowed. I think I can. And just going to go over the ballot proposals and some key things you need to know to vote in this upcoming election. I think we're all here because, we have a big election coming up this year on November 2nd, the citywide election, where we're going to be electing, dozens of our most important offices at a citywide level. Some of those offices include the major citywide ones: mayor, public advocate, comptroller, borough president, city council. I think you're going to be hearing from some candidates for that office potentially, but also other races, district attorney, although not in Queens, and the judgeships in different districts throughout the city. We also have statewide ballot proposals. I'm actually going to jump into that. So the ballot proposals, they're the thing on the other side of the ballot. You have to flip it over. And they can be several paragraphs long in some cases. But just to give some background, where do these things come from? They're on the ballot because they've been passed by the state representatives in 2 consecutive terms. And then as part of the process to amend the state constitution, it has to be put to the voters. This is the next stage in the process. Voters get a chance to vote yes or no. If yes gets a majority, 50% plus 1 vote, then the change will take effect. So with that said, I'm going to dive right into it. This is the first proposal. It's the longest, most complex, and arguably the most important proposal. I'm not going to read the entire text, although I'll point you to where you can always reference this text on our website. In simple language, this proposal, this first one, it covers the redistricting process, and it does 5 things. The first thing it does is it caps the number of state senators at 63. New York has been adding state senators, during regular census redistricting for the last several decades. This would cap the number of senators at 63. The second thing it does is require that the state count people who are incarcerated where they last lived instead of where they are in prison for the purposes of redistricting. Likewise, it also mandates that the state count everyone who lives in the state, regardless of citizenship status, when it comes to redistricting purposes. The other thing it does is it moves the timeline up. We had some pandemic-related delays with the census, and there are also the state primary has been moved up. It used to be in September, if you remember. Now it's in June. And so part of the reasoning that the supporters give for this is that we need to move the timeline up to account for that delay with the census, and also the fact that the primaries earlier in the year, you need these maps to be solid so people know what district they're living in and voting in. The next thing that it does is it changes the approval, the majority that's required to approve the maps and to appoint people to the independent redistricting committee. So There is currently a requirement to have bipartisan support to approve these and a supermajority. This would simplify those to be a simple majority, regardless of the political affiliation. The last thing is it would change the threshold for approving or appointing people onto that redistricting committee. So in other words, it simplifies the entire process so that a majority can approve the maps regardless of their political affiliation. That's proposal one. That's all one proposal. It's yes or no. I promise the other ones are much simpler. The second one is about environmental rights. So this would create a new right in the New York State Constitution Bill of Rights. If it passes, you would have a new right as a New Yorker to clean water, clean air, and a healthy environment. And that means that individual New Yorkers could sue if they feel like that right's not being met, or if government's not considering that right to a clean environment when they're passing laws and making different changes. So that would create a new right to a healthy environment. The third one and the fourth one are both related to voting. The proposal number 3, this is same-day voter registration. What it would do is it takes out a requirement in the Constitution that's in there right now that says you need to be registered 10 days before an election. So it would remove that 10-day requirement. If it passes, the state would still need to change the law to allow same-day voter registration. So it would be one step towards same-day voter registration, but it would be a necessary step so that the legislature could pass same-day voter registration. Right now, there are 20 other states, including and Washington, D.C., that have same-day voter registration. The fourth one is also related to voting. This is no excuse absentee voting. The way this would work, right now, there's a requirement that you give an excuse when you're requesting an absentee ballot. If you need to either be absent from the county when you're going to vote, or sick, or ill, or physically disabled from voting. This would remove that requirement and just allow anyone who's an eligible voter to vote by mail, to vote by absentee. Right now, New York is one of just 16 states that still requires an excuse. Other states have no excuse absentee voting or have all mail voting. So that one likewise would remove a constitutional barrier, and then the folks in Albany would have to pass another law to change it to come into effect. And then the last one has to do with the civil court. So this one is increasing the threshold for civil courts to see small claims from $25,000 or less up to $50,000. The reason that this was put on is because that number hasn't been changed since 1983, and there's been a lot of inflation since then. And also, this would help alleviate a backlog from the pandemic in the Supreme Court if the civil court could deal with some of these cases. So that's the reasoning behind that one. So that's the 5. I'm going to just touch on a couple of key things you need to know to be able to vote and some resources, and then take any questions or just the dates that you need to know. Unfortunately, the deadline, if you haven't registered already, the deadline to register was on the 8th. The deadline, if you want to vote by mail, the deadline to request an online absentee ballot was this Monday. So if you want to get an absentee ballot, you have to go and get one in person on November 1st. That's the Monday before Election Day. All absentee ballots have to be submitted, whether it's at the Board of Elections, at the at any poll site, or at in the mail postmarked by November 2nd. That's Election Day. Early voting is going to be from the 23rd to the 31st. That's 2 weekends and a week before Election Day, and Election Day is on the 2nd this year. So just you can check your voter registration status at this website, nycvotersearch.com. Here's what that looks like. Many of you may have used it before. You type in your last name, first name, borough, zip code, birth date, and you'll get your voter registration status, your current registration address, your political affiliation, and all your voting districts. I want to make a quick plug for our online voter guide. If you want to see who's on the ballot, we have a voter guide on voting.nyc, where you can see candidate profiles. We have video statements from all the candidates. That's voting.nyc. And then you go to meet the candidates section. There's also information there on the ballot proposals. So you go, there's a bar, you enter your address. It gives you the list of candidates running in your district. And then you can click through on each candidate and get their full profile. As far as early voting, I mentioned there's 9 days. There's weekend, early morning, evening hours. On election day, the polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And make sure to check your poll site. The early voting and the election day voting sites are not the same. This is what that website looks like. This is the find my poll site.vote.nyc. You just type in the address and the zip code. It'll give you the location with the early voting hours, the accessible entrance. It'll give you the same information for the election day site, and it'll give you a sample ballot with all the languages that will be available on election day. So this is obviously a sample. You know, you would not be, if you're in Astoria, you would not be voting on Sullivan Street. A couple of things to note before we wrap up. For formerly incarcerated folks, as of this year, have the right to vote restored. They will need to re-register once they exit prison, and that includes people on parole. If you are a survivor of domestic violence, you can seal your public voting record. Safe Horizon is a good resource. That's an organization. Safe Horizon is a good resource for that. And if you have impermanent housing, you can register with a school, a shelter, the address of a friend or relative, or somewhere else, but you do need to provide a mailing address. Closing out with some resources. The website, again, voting.nyc. You can check your registration, read the voter guide, find the poll site, all of that from there, from that website. You can also pledge to vote and get text alerts. That's text Vote Smart to 917-976-6377. And finally, keep an eye out for the voter guide that's been mailed out to every registered voter in the city. The print version has. So if you don't want to view it online or online is not accessible, they're also being mailed out to every registered voter. All right. And I'm wrapping up with that. Thank you, everyone, for your time and for being civically engaged. My name is Omar Suarez. Again, the website is voting.nyc, and my email is up on the screen. So, Richard, I don't know if we got any questions.
I have one quick question. Just want to confirm something on the first ballot initiative. I just want to confirm that while non-citizens will be counted for redistricting purposes, they are not voting, correct?
This is only in reference to counting people for redistricting purposes. Mm-hmm. This is counting. If you remember, there was this question about putting a citizenship question on the census. There was a concern that could be used later on to remove people from the census counts or disenfranchise people from the redistricting process. This would just ensure that we count everyone who lives in the state as part of the census.
Good. Okay. All right. Let's see if there's any other questions here. At this point, I guess no. Okay, so Omar, I greatly appreciate it. I thank you for joining us. You have your information in the comments as to reach out to you guys.
I can.
Yes, if you could do that, if you could send that in the private chat to Victor, and he'll post everything on the comments for everybody to reference. Okay.
Hey, thank you, Richard. Thank you, everyone at home. And we'll have a couple of mayoral debates as well if folks want to keep an eye out for those.
Okay, go. Beautiful. Okay, perfect. Thank you.